Psychic energy. Everything in the universe consists of energy. Energy itself is not visible, but the results of energy are. Air and wind are forms of energy, though we cannot see either. All animals, minerals, vegetable matter is energy. The only difference between is density. The amount of energy in the universe does not increase or decrease. It merely changes form. If you doubt that solid matter is really energy, take note of what happens when we use a match to light some paper to start a log burning in the fireplace. As the paper flames and the log burns, we get two types of energy, which we are accustomed to referring as to such: heat and light. A match plus a paper plus a log equals heat and light. These energies are the results of the transformations of the energy and wood byproducts into forms which we recognize. When animal or vegetable matter dies and disintegrates, the energy does not disappear. It changes into different forms, which nourishes other life types. Out of death comes life, and out of life comes death, this cycle being one of the never-changing laws of nature. Psi energy and the power of thought. The use of EEG machines has proven that thought is energy. In laboratory tests, a number of electrodes are attached to the head in order to monitor the brainwaves action. It requires some form of energy to activate the needles on the machine. This energy or thought waves we refer to as psychic energy. The existence of psychic energy is most difficult to prove. Like electricity, no one knows how it works, and there is not a person alive who can explain electricity and why it works. We could accept the fact that there is electric power because we cook with it, keep warm with it, and see by it. To cite a few examples. Psychic energy is more subtle. We use it constantly, but because we have been accustomed to doing so since the beginning of time, we are not aware of it. The fact is that psychic energy is the most powerful energy in the universe, and we call it, quote, the mind, unquote. Thought waves activate energy, psychic energy. To think is to create. Energy never dissipates, it merely changes form. Therefore, when thought energy is released from the brain, it must, by natural law, change form. It does just that and manifests in physical form. Everything material was first a thought. Every building, every bridge, every road ever built was first a thought, an idea, a mental picture. All great artists, poets, and writers must always have ideas, thoughts, mental pictures to what they wish to create before they ever put pen to paper or brush to canvas. That is creation. Therefore, we create our own destiny by the way we think. The thought comes first, the creation follows. Something worth repeating is that psychic mind power is the strongest energy in the universe. There is a theory that the pyramids were built with psychic power. It is a possibility worthy of consideration as many other methods of their construction have been theorized but none proven. There is the possibility that the man at one time may have possessed a very high degree of control over his psychic energy. Besides the pyramids in Egypt, there are many more examples around the world of constructed made with massive stone which had to be transported over some great distance. For instance, there is Stonehenge in England, the pyramids in Mexico, and many other types in Central and South America. Could there have been a very advanced civilization that was lost, such as Atlantis, which Edgar Cayce wrote? And couldn't the progress of civilization as we know it have forbidden the practice of such powers, thus forcing the ability into hidden recesses of the subconscious? We believe that this power is dormant in the man and can be stimulated into action when enough people in the world accept the possibility to develop it. There are many indications of this natural ability, commonly referred to as supernatural in the world today. Uri Geller is a prime example. While under the very strict laboratory supervision, he is able to move objects with mind power. He can bend metal objects and move the needle on a compass while it is under glass, using no tool other than the mind. The Aborigines in Australia are very adept in the use of mental telepathy or ESP. Whenever a death or other tragedy occurs in one village, the people in other villages, no matter how distant, know of it immediately, and these are but two of many examples of the great power of mind. The psychic energy or power of thought is not a new discovery. There have always been some who have known of it, this power, and some very prominent ones who have tried to teach it. Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, and Jesus, to name a few. Unfortunately, instead of following the teachings of these masters, the people turn to worship of the teacher because of their belief that superhuman power and the ability to work miracles were possessed by only a chosen few. There is no harm in the worship of if the philosophy were also adopted. But what has emerged from these teachings has been disastrous prejudice, hatred, wars, and bloodshed, all in the name of religion and which teacher was right and should be followed. Actually, they were all teaching the same truths in different times, different tongues, and to different people. And the truth that they taught is creation. They all said, though phrased differently, that we are what we think. Not one of them said that we were to kill our fellow man if he did not believe us. Brain and mind are two very different things. Brain is a generator of thought, but has no memory. Thought are electromagnetic waves fed to mind, which has perfect memory and almost total recall with the right stimuli. Everything that has happened to us in this life form since conception and in other life form of existence is registered in mind. Experiments done in regression through hypnotherapy appear to verify this. So brain is a planner, mind is a builder. A mind does not distinguish between man-made laws of right and wrong, or good and bad. It just carries out all orders precisely as given. So what we are and where we are today is the direct result of how we thought yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. What we will be and where we will be in the future must, by the law of nature, be determined by how we think today, tomorrow, and in the days to follow. We do create our own destiny. Thought is creation. This is the universal truth. This universal truth has been referred to in many ways since the beginning of recorded history in cave drawings, in prose, poetry, and song. A very good example of this is in the children's story, The Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy experienced many trials and tribulations in trying to find her way home. She eventually found that all she had to do was think of Kansas, and she would be there. Emerson wrote, "As a man thinketh, so is he." The message is evident in many of our modern songs. A particularly good one which was popular a few years ago is called, quote, "Life is a Song," unquote. How many of those who listened to it really heard the words in such phrases as, "Don't blame your life on a master plan, change it. And you hold the key in the palm of your hand, use it. You create what you do with your life. The power of the mind is one of the natural laws of the universe, as surely as the laws of chemistry and physics. What will work in chemistry right now would have worked thousands of years ago and will work thousands of years in the future. These truths have always been known by some. The knowledge of the Eastern world, which has been used in practical, productive ways, in a practical, productive way for thousands of years, can be practiced just as effectively today. Yoga teaches that in order for mankind to progress in a natural, healthy way, all aspects, mental, physical, and spiritual, must be utilized equally and kept in balance. We cannot ignore anyone, for natural laws will exercise their power, whether or not we are aware of them. For natural laws will exercise their power, whether or not we are aware of them. In the realm of thought, as in the field of physics, every action has an equal reaction, exactly equal reaction. In the realm of thought, as in the field of physics, every action has an exactly equal reaction. We could use the word karma or the phrase, "as ye sow, so shall ye reap," or the term cause and effect. However we express it, the meaning is the same. Everything we experience in this life or any other life is of our own creation. Thought and belief make it so. As science progressed in the Western world, less and less credibility was given to this philosophy. However, in recent years, through very knowledgeable people such as Maharishi, who introduced transcendental meditation to the world, it is being accepted and practiced by many. There are countless books written on the subject. It is being taught under many different names, and it is readily available to all who are interested. The universe and psychic energy. There are multiple multitude of things which we cannot detect with our five physical senses. We know that dogs can hear sounds which are undetectable to humans. Birds have much keener eyesight than man. We cannot see the air we breathe, nor can we see electricity or gas. These are powerful energies which we take for granted. So why reject the idea of other energies just because we do not detect them with our five physical senses? The way we view the universe can be likened to the way we see a room by looking through the keyhole of the door. We see just one tiny part of what is in the room. And so it is with the universe. We see only one microscopic part of all that there is. We see events following one another in sequence. This is a man-made time in which we measure our progress in this physical form. We would see everything that is if we would see everything that is in existence, we would become confused. Nature has provided us with five physical senses that will enable us to go through this lifetime quite efficiently when they are utilized as they are meant to be. But through training, we soon program the subconscious to put limits on them. Just think of what happens when any one of the senses is lost, such as hearing or sight. Do not the other senses then develop to a much greater degree? If we could expand our awareness, and we could see more of the past and more of the future. As it is, we see the world as a multitude of individuals, persons, events, and experiences. We refer to this as the objective or conscious level, the extent of which we are conscious. We are not aware of the connecting force of energy which makes all the individuals into a great universal one, where there is no time division, only the eternal now. This awareness is hidden in the subjective level. With practice, we can become more aware of the subjective level. And by more aware of the overall picture, we can guide our lives in a more profitable way. This is using the inner senses or intuition. Some psychics have this ability very well developed. One psychic refers to this insight as being comparable to standing on top of a high mountain with a clear view all around and being aware of everything on all sides. There is nothing that we do not know. We just don't know that we know. Everything that we have experienced since the beginning of time is registered in the mind, and this mind is universal, the eternal now, and everything is subject to recall. We are just not aware that we have this direct line to universal intelligence. Everything in the universe is energy. Therefore, psychic energy is the same energy that is in electricity. We believe that it is generated and controlled by thought. But this energy, when generated, because it is not always consciously controlled, can manifest in a negative form. Example of this in excess is poltergeist. Variably, where poltergeist activity is found, there will be a young person anywhere from about age 11 into late teens or early 20s, an emotionally disturbed person who can unwittingly lapse into an altered state of consciousness, where the agitated thoughts activate a great deal of uncontrolled energy. The person who is causing the problem is unaware that he is creating it, and is just as bewildered and frightened as anyone else by the violence. Such energy, when controlled, can perform feats and appear as magic or illusions to us. We believe this to be the power of utilized psychic healing and black magic. The same energy, but being designated to do different jobs. The more aware a person becomes, the more adept at controlling energy, the more charismatic he becomes. Charisma could be compared to a magnet. A demagnetized piece of steel has its molecules running at random, but when the steel is magnetized, the molecules all run the same way in all orderly fashion. But when the steel is magnetized, the molecules all run the same way in an orderly fashion. It then attracts other metal objects. A person with charisma has leadership qualities and strong magnetism, which attracts and influences other people. We are all using the principle to a degree. That is, we attract to ourselves whatever we dwell on. When our ability to consciously control this power becomes more developed, we attract more and more of good things, of the good things in life in a shorter period of time. Alexander Arid, a teacher from whom we learned a great deal about the power of mind, says he must be very careful to monitor his thoughts, as sometimes his desires will appear before he is quite prepared for them. Self-image. Before reading further, ask yourself this question. Do I like myself? Take time to consider this seriously and give yourself an honest answer. If the answer is yes, then you are on the right track. If the answer is no, then ask yourself why. A poor self-image is self-destructing. We must learn to love ourselves. If we do not love and respect ourselves, how can we offer love and respect to others? We cannot give what we do not have. But when we love ourselves, we can give love to others in abundance. The more we give away, the more we have. We must become selfish as opposed to greedy. As children, we are told that we must not be selfish, that others must come first. But if everyone followed that rule, no one could have anything. Being selfish is desiring everything of the others. Greed is taking as much as possible for oneself without thought of giving anything in return. When we learn to like ourselves for what we are and obtain the good things in life, we become happier and more content with our lot. This shows our attitude and outward appearance, which expands and spreads around us to influence all those we come in contact. When we look happy, we make others happy. A smile is contagious. Try it. Smile whenever you meet people. You may be surprised at the number who will return the smile. Conversely, if you look miserable and glum, this is what you will perceive in others. We should not be too critical or hard on ourselves. We should recognize our good points and give others credit for the things we do right while not condemning ourselves for our wrongdoings. We do not mean that we should criticize ourselves, but rather that we do it in a constructive way. When you have made a mistake, just accept it as a lesson learned and determine not to do it the same thing again. We should not mentally punish ourselves by thinking, I am dumb, I can't do anything right. If we tell ourselves these things, oftentimes we will come to believe it and it will be so. The following exercise is very helpful in building a good self-image. Do not reject it without trying it. At least once every day, stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eyes and repeat 3 times. I like myself unconditionally. I never depreciate myself with destructive self-criticism. Say this with conviction and really mean it. Think deeply of what you are saying. It is effective. Within a week, you will notice a difference in the attitude of people towards you, as you will be portraying a different self-image. What we see in other people is a reflection of ourselves. Try it and find out. There is no one who is any better or any worse than anyone else. Certainly, some deeds we perform are better or worse than others, but deep inside, under all those masks that we wear, the inner self, the real I, which we have been hiding from the world and have never really searched for, is divine, a part of the one, the universal mind. Change. We know that thought is creation, so if we are not happy without life as is now, then we must change our way of thinking. We are creatures of habit, and a very deep-seated habit is difficult to uproot, required much time and effort. Use the imagination a bit and visualize what it would be like if the hand you normally write with were injured for any reason and you had to use the other hand. How would it feel? Very awkward, no doubt. It may be just as awkward to change your way of thinking. The older we get, the more difficult it becomes to change, as the habits have controlled us for so long. But we can liken it to a child learning to walk. Just become just because he falls when he takes his first step, he doesn't give up. Perseveres and keeps on trying until he is able to walk, then run and even jump. Once we take hold of the idea of positive thinking and start to become aware of the damage in negative thoughts, we are well on our way to success. As the change continues, it will take less and less effort. There has been a great deal written about the power of positive thinking, but there has been much less said about the power of negative thinking. By negative thinking, we mean wishing for good things to happen while expecting failure. Underestimating personal ability and trusting in so-called luck. Thinking in terms of cup being half empty instead of half full. Thinking down instead of up. Unfortunately, negative thoughts will manifest just as surely as will positive ones. Remember that the mind does not discriminate between right and wrong, good and bad, but just carries out orders as given. The laws of nature are always in effect and are never change. Man-made laws may be broken, manipulated, or one-stepped without the culprits ever being caught. But breaking the laws of nature always exacts a negative reaction in exact proportion to the extent of the deed. In order to think clearly and to organize our lives, we must first learn to relax. With the modern fast pace of living and the rat race of the business world, very few people really know how or are able to completely relax. We are constantly bombarded with a multitude of thoughts, which commonly result in utter mental confusion, and the techniques one can use to ease the stimulation. If after a day at work or at home with small children or any situation that has kept you constantly busy mentally or physically or both, you will find that you are exhausted. We offer the following suggestions to help you unwind. Exercises and relaxation. First, find a comfortable chair in which you sit, where you can be alone. Now just listen to good music, something slow and soothing. The FM station on the radio is good. Or perhaps you have some good, easy listening music on record or tape. Get as comfortable as possible and just place your awareness on the music, nothing else. This will be easier to do with your eyes closed, as 80% of distraction is visual. Become involved with the music. Become a part of it. Allow yourself to drift along wherever it takes you. If you find that your thoughts continue to stray, try to pick out the different instruments and get a mental picture of the person playing each instrument. You can only hold one thought at a time, so as long as you keep your thoughts on the music, there is no room for any other. Another good way to relax is to do a little daydreaming. Take yourself on a beautiful mental trip to some place that you have been before and enjoyed, or to some place that you would like to go. Just close your eyes and get a mental picture of being where you would like to be and doing what you would like to most do. You can be as extravagant as you please, go first class. It is your daydreaming, and there is no limit to the amount of luxury you can afford. You get carried away in this type of reverie. It is as beneficial to your mental and physical well-being as actually visiting the spot you are pictured. A minimum of 10 minutes of this is type of relaxation helps clear the cobwebs of the brain and recharge the batteries. Try it and you may be surprised. You may think that you cannot find time to be alone. We know of one woman who found that whenever she tries to be alone and quiet, the children would come looking for her and asked if there was something wrong. She found the answer by taking a daily 15-minute bath in the late afternoon. That was one place where the children respected her privacy. She found it extremely relaxing. There were no tight garments to hamper easy breathing, and the daydreaming became very easy to do. To be in water, to visualize yourself in or on water is in itself very relaxing.